How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across America. The phone number is 877-973-7425. I have avoided the raw politics of the day until now, but before I do that, I just want to mention this. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for a particular affiliate of mine. Now, I love you all, and I love all of my stations. But WEEB in Southern Pines, North Carolina, was the very first radio station outside of the state of Georgia to pick me up. And I have a fantastic number of listeners up there, and I have been dying to get up there. And at some point in the next few months, I'm going to just show up. We won't go through a big deal of it. Don't want to bother the folks at WEEB. They got their hands tied with so much other stuff going on. But I want to show up in Southern Pines because it was the very first station outside of Georgia to put me on, and I have a lot of listeners up there. I get emails, we get phone calls all the time from people listening on WEEB, and so I want to go up there. They got some great breweries in the area. They've got some nice little inns up there, and they are right next door to a place, and this is why I feel sorry. I don't, and I do feel sorry for them. Southern Pines is right next door to a place you have heard of called Pinehurst, where the U.S. Open will be this week. And I was curious, and so I got on Apple Maps, and sure enough, there's already a bunch of traffic backups as people are coming in for this week for the U.S. Open. Scotty Scheffler just won a tournament. He's expected to win again, but it's a beautiful area that I have only been through once as a kid, back before I appreciated golf, and some buddies of mine have been trying to get me to go up there to play golf at Pinehurst. You can go play, obviously not during the tournament, but in any event, traffic is going to be a mess. There are going to be so many people who come in from out of town and just swamp the place. So those of you in the listening area in Southern Pines, you're in my prayers this week as you have a bajillion people show up on your doorstep and overwhelm all of your social services and restaurants and everything else, all to watch an incredible golf game at an incredible golf course in Pinehurst. Now, I do want to talk about the raw politics of the day because I find it notable. So I actually did the show notes today. Philip is in family vacation. I can't really hold a grudge considering I just had one. But so he's with the wife and the baby at the beach, and I had to do the show notes. And we had all these technical problems getting off the ground today with radio stuff and internet stuff. So I did a very abridged show notes, but I included, doing it myself, these two stories that I find really relevant that they're hitting right now, because there's a third story that comes very timely. So the New York Times, this is the headline: Biden loves to tell tall tales. We cut them down to size. By President Biden's account, he was a fierce civil rights activist. In his youth, had an uncle who fell prey to cannibals and used to drive an 18-wheeler. None of these things are, of course, true. The New York Times now delving into Joe Biden's lies. Secondly, this is from Politico. This is the headline at Politico. Biden insists he's not involved in his family's business dealings, but his aides are a different story. The overlapping roles are under scrutiny as the president distances himself from his family's dealings. There are two things happening at once with these stories: the New York Times expose on Biden's history of lies, and Politico's story on Biden's family's business dealings, and how it all ties together. This is an increased shove of the media trying to shove Joe Biden out of the race. And it's also damage control. So when it comes back in the general election, they can say, that's old news. We discussed this. They would like to get Joe Biden out of the race. And if they can't, they'll say, oh, we exported this. So you can't say we're not fair. We exported this stuff. Back when no one was paying attention. This is all coming because of the third story. Polling, we're now far enough away from the guilty verdict to safely say that there really has been no phenomenal shakeup in the polling. In fact, in the Real Clear Politics average, Donald Trump has gone back up slightly from 0.5% to 0.8%. Let me just give you, and I realize y'all are prone to hate the polls, but there's a point here you have to understand, and the reason that I have to do this. So let me just give you the last of the polling here. tip is tied. Reuters Ipsos is Biden up 2. Forbes Harris is Trump up 2. Morning Consult is Trump up 1. Remember, that's the poll everyone said after the verdict, it went into Biden's favor. Oh, there's momentum for Joe Biden. It's now back to Trump up 1. Emerson is Trump up 1. Yahoo News is Biden up 2. CBS News is Trump up 1 for an average of Trump up 0.8 points. Now, the more notable issue here with the polling is how remarkably stable this polling has been. The CBS News poll in particular has not really deviated at all over time. It's been remarkably steady. Liam Donovan on Twitter has pointed this out. It's was Trump up 1, then Trump previously Trump up 4, previously Trump up 2, previously Trump up 3, previously Trump up 1. It's held remarkably steady, but also remember Trump tends to underperform his polling, and it's been remarkably steady polling nationally for Donald Trump. When you look at Yahoo News has bounced around more. It was Biden 4, Biden 6, then a tie, then Biden 1, then Trump 2, then a tie, then Trump 1, then Trump 2, then a tie, then Biden 2. It's bounced around way much more than CBS News. Emerson has been remarkably steady. Trump 1, Trump 2, Trump 3, Trump 1, Biden 2, Trump 1, Trump 1, Trump 4, Trump 4, Trump 2, tie, Trump 2, tie. On and on, the polling has been remarkably consistent. Take the Fox News polling. Starting in August of last year, Biden 3, September, Trump 2, October, Biden 1, November, Trump 4, December, Trump 4, February, Trump 2, March, Trump 5, May, Trump 1. It's been pretty steady, and it's been pretty favorable to Trump. But you see, I'm talking about Real Clear Politics, and the press hates Real Clear Politics because the Real Clear Politics polling takes all the polls. It takes the Democratic pollsters and includes them in the polling average, and the Republican pollsters and includes them in the average, and the bad pollsters and includes them in the average. The media lives 538. You should know at 538.com, Joe Biden has hit a new record low in approval. Only 37.6% of Americans now like Joe Biden. That's a record low. 56.6% of Americans dislike Joe Biden. In the Real Clear Politics polling average, and again, remember, the media loves the Real Clear Politics polling average because the Real Clear Politics are not the 538, because the 538, they get rid of the bad pollsters. In the 538, they get rid of the bad pollsters. And right now, it's Trump 41, Biden 40. yesterday, or no, on the 8th, it was Trump 40.9, Biden 39.9. We're back basically now to where it was right before the verdict, where it was Trump 41, Biden 39. We're now, after the verdict, it's Trump 41, Biden 40. That's statistically insignificant movement. It's a tied race with Trump in the lead, and Trump tends to outperform his polling. In the swing states, Trump's doing very well in Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada. Joe Biden has tied him in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. If Joe Biden can win those states, he wins. Pennsylvania's 19 votes. Everybody's saying it's all going to come down to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is where it's going to come down to. And Trump has good polling in Pennsylvania right now. Here's the problem for the Democrats. Republicans, you got a lot of problems, and it's very interesting. There are a number of people after the conviction of Trump said, Trump should drop out, not Biden. Trump should drop out. Maybe both of them should, but they're not going to. This is the world where we are, not the world where you want it to be. And in the world where we are, Joe Biden should be dominating Donald Trump right now. Joe Biden should be dominating Donald Trump because Americans don't like Donald Trump. They don't like Joe Biden, but they don't like Trump. Donald Trump is now a convicted felon. You can say that. Donald Trump is a convicted felon. And the convicted felon is beating Joe Biden. There are lots of people on social media say, you're voting for a convicted felon. You can't say anything. Your candidate's a convicted felon. You're right, and he's beating your candidate's butt. Donald Trump has lots of problems, but Joe Biden has more. Joe Biden has three things, and these aren't, I got to give credit to John Ellis who put them this way. He said the three I's: inflation, immigration, and infirmity. Joe Biden has attempted to fix immigration. That's the number one issue for voters right now, except it's not actually doing anything. It's not going to improve the situation. It's not going to make anything better. Joe Biden has to deal with inflation, and Joe Biden can't do anything about inflation at this point. There's nothing Joe Biden can do to change voters' minds about inflation. And then there's his own infirmities, age in particular. Joe Biden cannot make himself younger, and every time he tries to appear hip and younger, he winds up appearing more older, out of touch, and dementia-ridden. This is a real problem for the Democrats now, which is why you've got the New York Times and Politico diving into these stories about Joe Biden's business ties to his family and their corrupt practices, Joe Biden's lies. The media has decided it's time to pull the ripcord. See if they can save the campaign by pushing Joe Biden aside. You got a debate coming up at the end of the month. They see the opportunity. And again, I know y'all all think Joe Biden's not going to be the Democratic nominee. And I'm not sure he is either. But I know enough to know that Joe Biden has such a chip on his shoulder, he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to not run. He understands as well fundamentally Kamala Harris has major weaknesses, and they couldn't replace her as the nominee. At this point, they'd have to give it to her. But the media and the Democrats want him now to step aside. The media and the Democrats, their theory of the race was very simple. Convict Donald Trump of something, of anything. Convict Donald Trump. And Joe Biden wins. They have now convicted Donald Trump of more than 30 counts. And he's still beating Joe Biden. Because the Republicans may have a convicted felon as their nominee, subject to appeal, but the Democrats have a dementia-addled old man who half the time can't find his way off stage. And Americans remember Donald Trump's administration, and they like it a whole lot more than what they are getting right now. They never liked Donald Trump. That's what the Democrats miss. The American public as a whole never liked Donald Trump anyway, but they liked his policies, and they're willing to go back to that. A personal note here, if you'll allow. Well, you got to allow it. It's my show. My wife was in the newspaper this weekend, the Sunday Mail in Great Britain, in London. They did a small story on my wife. It's kind of funny. I warned her this would happen. I said they're gonna give you a big interview, and hardly any of it is gonna make it. They did put in pictures of my wife on her Harley, but so she is now one of the longest survivors on this medicine, Tagrisso. It's an oral chemo that she takes for her lung cancer, and the medicine is continuing to work for her. And as I've told you guys before, so she has a particular type of genetic cancer for which there's no cure, and this medicine tends to work for 2.5 to 3 years. She's now on it upwards of 8 years, and it turns out she's got another genetic mutation, and the people with this genetic mutation, all the medicine, they don't know when it stops, and at this point, she's one of the longest survivors, and so she's kind of the guinea pig for when will the medicine stop working, and we keep praying that it keeps going, and there's some suggestion that it will go for quite a while. So anyway, so she's in the mail. If you subscribe to the daily email, I put a link into this morning's piece for people to be able to read it. Let me just, for all of you, because I've gotten a lot of emails from a lot of people about the different cancer treatments I was mentioning last week on what a time it is to be alive. There's Tagrisso, there's other lung cancer medicines, there's now breast cancer blood test and some others. And if you text data to 33777, you can click through to this morning's piece, and the very top blurb on my wife is a link to that story in the Daily Mail, and it's got a coverage of these medicines, these miracle cancer cures, and medicines that are prolonging people's life. And then at the bottom is the little thing on my wife. So just text data to 33777 and go in. It's the morning piece. I think the title of it is Some Very Good People, something like that. But click through. And at the very top, there's a thing about my wife and this medicine. She'll be on local news here in Atlanta on Friday as well, apparently. Now, I got to ask you on behalf of Hillsdale College to take a survey for them. Hillsdale College tends to educate you, but they want you to educate them right now. Go to ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. Hillsdale is surveying you on the selection of president of the United States because some states have decided it's time to abandon the Electoral College and tie it to popular vote. And in fact, these states are binding their Electoral College members to the national popular vote. So what do you think? Is that a good idea, or does the Electoral College matter? Should we change it completely? Take the survey, ericforhillsdale.com. It's the presidential selection survey brought to you by Hillsdale College at ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. You can also begin a great relationship with Hillsdale College. Y'all, it is a fantastic conservative institution in this country, educating kids. They've got now great elementary and secondary education programs as well that schools can embrace. It's a great institution to support as well. Eric, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. That's where you go. Take the presidential selection survey. Let Hillsdale know what you think about picking the president of the United States. Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. So I got to tell you, there was it didn't actually happen, and boy, do I wish that it did. Someone sent pictures of the Donald Trump rally, and they claimed that he was reading from a Cheesecake Factory menu. And so they put captions. It was like it was a teleprompter. And you've got to be honest. You have to be honest that this is something Donald Trump would do, a free-form review of the Cheesecake Factory. Let me just read you what the closed caption was. And he's actually he's reading it from a binder. But they said, the prices are insane. This is the menu from Cheesecake Factory. We love that place, don't we? One of the best factories. The warm crab dip is $47. These are Biden prices, and I bet it's not even warm since Biden's so bad with energy. Ice cold crab dip, $47. I saw that. I was like, this is genius. This is actually very, very funny. But actually, you know what Trump did? I got to read you this headline. The headline, where is it? Did they bury the headline now? It's funny how they they want to vilify this sort of stuff. Up there it is. There it is. Trump tells audience in heat wave, "I don't love you. I just want your vote." If you actually listen to it, this is the thing where the media doesn't translate. So they're humorless. Side note. Tangent, if you will. I got in a little trouble this weekend on social media because I tweeted something and the angry feminists reacted badly. So I tweeted, "Some say if the world was run by women, we would have peace in our times. But look at the treatment of Caitlin Clark by the WNBA, and you realize we would be in a perpetual state of war over random things like two world leaders wearing the same outfit to the United Nations." You know it's true. I have a buddy of mine, William Carswell. William Carswell, when we were in law school, worked for a law firm in South Georgia, and they had the contract for indigent criminal defense. William Carswell one time had to represent a crazy transgender person. At the time, we're not called transgender, but something else. And this transgender person named Lou Jean did the only sensible thing when someone else showed up at a New Year's party wearing the same dress as Lou Jean. Lou Jean picked up a lead pipe and clubbed the other transvestite to death. That was the term used at the time, now transgender person. It was yes, Lou Jean clubbed the other person to death. And William Carswell's firm got the pleasure of representing Lou Jean for killing someone for showing up at a New Year's party wearing the same dress. Yes, that was the story, William. Now, I don't know whether William Carswell was telling the truth, but he had some wild stories from his time representing, and most of those stories I do know were true, and I suspect that this one was as well. My other favorite one was they represented a person one time who killed his wife and her boyfriend in the double-wide trailer, and the 911 phone call was of the woman screaming that her husband was there, and you hear, ch-ch, boom. You don't hear the woman screaming anymore, but you hear, ch-ch, boom. A guy used a sawed-off shotgun, killing his wife and her boyfriend in the double-wide trailer, and he tried to argue that it was just a little shotgun, at which point the judge had to inform him the technical term was sawed off. Carswell had some stories. I'll never forget Lou Jean, though, but from the tangent of the tangent back to the original tangent, the world would not be a peaceful place if all women were in charge, because look at how they're reacting to Caitlin Clark. Now, from that tangent, back to the original presuppositional statements I was making, if you're following along on my wild brain this afternoon, the feminists got very mad at me for making this tweet this weekend that we would have perpetual war over random things like two leaders showing up in the same outfit of the United Nations. That's not funny. You have no sense of humor. Now you do, Trump. I can't believe you're married. That's so misogynistic. Blah, 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 blah. They do the same thing to Donald Trump. Standing on stage in a heat wave in Las Vegas, Donald Trump laughingly tells the crowd, "Now, I don't love y'all. I just want your votes. So don't get overheated here. If you pass out, we'll throw some water on you." Donald Trump says he doesn't love his voters. Joe Biden loves his voters, so much so he'll put his hands all over them if they're young. I mean, there's no willingness to laugh at some of the absurdities. Y'all, come on. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, and you know I have reservations about him, he's a deeply funny person. I have met Donald Trump. I have sat in his office with him. I have visited with him, and I have laughed repeatedly at the things he said in private. I have laughed at the things he does on stage. He makes you laugh, and Joe Biden makes you cringe. The whole nonsensicalness of being outraged that Donald Trump was. Or let's go back to the Hannibal Lecter line. I mean, in the entire video, Donald Trump is actually using Hannibal Lecter as an example of the insane criminals being let out of prisons and allowed to illegally immigrate to the United States. And he says, Hannibal Lecter, a great guy. And he called Hannibal Lecter a great guy. Can you believe Donald Trump would defend Hannibal Lecter? And you watch it for yourself, and he's there laughing. He's there mocking. And now there's this headline, Donald Trump mocked over a bizarre rant about sharks. During his speech in the swing state of Nevada on Sunday, the president posed a hypothetical scenario in which a boat with a large battery sinks while a shark was nearby. If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do you stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted, or do you jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? All right. Some person on Twitter, and of course this is a story about how someone on Twitter reacted. It's never about real people. It's about people who are too addicted to social media. This is like listening to your senile uncle at the dinner table after he has that third drink. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We just went through a news cycle where the sitting president of the United States informed us his uncle in World War II jumped out of a plane and was consumed by cannibals. So, do you want the Trump hypothetical about getting electrocuted or eaten by sharks? Which do you prefer? Or do you want the president of the United States thinking he's telling you the truth that his uncle got eaten by cannibals in Papua New Guinea, drawing outrage from the ambassador of the country? Say what you will about Donald Trump, but his electrocution versus sharks hypo did not draw outrage from the international community for suggesting that maybe it was the sharks of an indigenous people that ate you. There is no sense. This is okay. So there's a real point here, other than just the bizarreness of the outrage. Humor matters. Humor actually matters. If you can laugh at your opponent, and to a degree it's what the left has been doing to the right, if you can laugh at them, it's a good thing. Particularly because the left has no sense of humor. Crystal Ball, and this is Shane on Twitter. If you're listening, this is credited to you. This woman, Crystal Ball, she tweeted, "If Hamas." Let me actually. I want to read this precisely. I don't want to paraphrase because you need to know her actual words. I put it in the show notes that I haphazardly did and pushed out to all of America today. I want to get this exactly right. Just so you have the full context, she actually tweeted this: if Hamas committed a bloody massacre of Israelis. She actually tweeted that. If Hamas, they did. And Shane, on one of my Twitter followers, says, with the name like Crystal Ball, you'd think she could see the outrage coming for that. Yes, you'd think so. These people need to be laughed at. Humor is a wonderful thing. So the Trump Cheesecake Factory menu thing, it's being fact-checked. Of course, it's not real, and it became very obvious. But someone did it. Let me just read you the closed captions on this. And again, it's not real, but you could imagine Donald Trump doing something like this because he did pick up a folder or binder and he was reading out of it. It says, the Biden economy is the worst economy in the history of the economies, and there have been many economies. The prices are insane. This is a menu from the Cheesecake Factory. We love that place, don't we? One of the best factories. $37 for Korean fried chicken. When I was president, all chicken was American. You you can see Donald Trump doing that, which makes this even more funny because people have to, but also knowing he's not serious. He's poking fun at Joe Biden. And the problem is the members of the media, which lack humor whatsoever, they can't laugh at anything these days because Donald Trump is a convicted felon and he's beating Joe Biden. How can this be? We must be more angry. And that actually draws people to Trump. Even people who may not like Donald Trump like the fact that he can laugh at the absurdity of it all. Donald Trump is the man who can laugh at the absurdity of Donald Trump getting elected president of the United States. Did you ever see the movie back in the day, back in probably the early 90s? When did this movie come out? I remember 1991. Yeah, I knew I was in high school. King Ralph. John Goodman played on the TV show Roseanne. Famous actor, but he really became famous with Roseanne. And he got a movie career. And it's one of the movies that he was in 1991 with the height of Roseanne as a TV show is called King Ralph. And essentially, the British royal family, they're having a photo shoot of the entire British royal family, and like Trump and the shark, they all get electrocuted, and they all die. The Queen, the whole royal family, they get electrocuted, and they got to go down the family line. And well, Ralph is a obnoxious American, and his name is Ralph Jones, and he's a lounge singer in Las Vegas, and he becomes the King of England. And he can laugh at the absurdity of him becoming the King of England. It's like an inside joke in the movie, the absurdity of it. He ultimately gives up the throne in the movie. It's a very funny movie from the early 90s. And so, yeah, I mean, to give you a sense of it, so it was a budget of $23 million, and it made over $50 million at the box office. Considered a success at the time. It was very funny, based on a book, turned into a comedy. But he could laugh at the absurdity of him, a Las Vegas lounge singer, becoming king. This is absurd. I should do it. Donald Trump is a man who can laugh at the absurdity of Donald Trump being president and not give up the job, but laugh at the absurdity of it, that the alternative was a dementia-addled 80-year-old who doesn't know how to get off a stage and doesn't know how to speak the English language. And he can have a sense of humor about it. People want a sense of humor. People can laugh about it. Donald Trump did 3 rallies in Arizona, California, and Las Vegas in stifling heat with crowds, some of whom passed out, and he laughed the whole way through it, and the crowd laughed the whole way through it. Joe Biden can't utter a sentence without tripping over his words, and that makes it funny in a cringy sense. It doesn't make it funny with humor. It makes it funny, and oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy is president. Because you're cringing at the old man. Humor will save all of us. You should be able to laugh at things. Feminists should be able to laugh at the cattiness of the women in the NBA. Who now, by the way, they're telling me it's not a woman thing, it's a race thing. They don't like that it's a white woman that's become so popular in the WNBA, that it's overshadowing the black women. No, it's a woman who's very good at basketball, and the catty, jealous women are confirming all sorts of bad stereotypes about women by doing what they're doing to Caitlin Clark. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is on the stage in Las Vegas making people laugh, and the media is furious that a convicted felon is beating a dementia-addled 80-year-old for president of the United States. Oh, the times in which we live. If you can't laugh at it, you'd cry at it, so you might as well laugh. Now, some of you are crying about your computer problems. You shouldn't, because Vision Computer can dry your eyes and solve your computer problems. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. Tell them I sent you. You save some money. They can build you computers, or they can be your tech support. Let's say you need computers. Vision will build you computers, the ones that you want and need, not the one-size-fits-all ones, and they'll meet your needs. And then you get their award-winning tech support. But let's say you've got computers and you're having all sorts of problems. Your employees are having problems. You don't have tech support. You can't afford to have a full-time IT guy. Vision Computers can take over that need. For $179 a year, not a month, just a year per computer, Vision Computers can be your support, your tech support, and your employees get their phone number, or you at home, if you got a computer and you're frustrated by it, you can do the same thing. And in 15 seconds or less, you get the answer to what the problem is. You call Vision. They don't put you on hold. They don't put you on waiting hold. They don't make you go through robot machine language. They just answer the phone, and they take your question and they answer your question faster than a Google search. so you can get back to doing what you're good at and let them be good at your computers. 404-COMPUTE. Call Vision Computers. Let them be your tech support solution for your home, for your whole office. You got a bunch of employees. They need to be good at their jobs, not good at their computers. Vision can be good at the computers for them. Call them at 404-COMPUTE, 404-COMPUTE, or visioncomputers.com. Tell them I sent you. You save even more. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. I will be broadcasting from Louisiana the rest of this week, from a cabin in the woods, no less. It'll be exciting. I hear there's good internet. Okay. Have you guys heard about the SWAT sniper? This is wild. In Lee County, Florida, the sheriff's office released the video. There was a SWAT situation inside a Bank of America, the Bell Tower shops in South Fort Myers. Pretty graphic video. Sterling Alavashi is age 36. I think I'm pronouncing his name right, maybe Alavash. 36. Held up a bank claiming he had a bomb. He took 2 people hostage at knife point. The SWAT team was called in. He came running in screaming, I have a bomb, I have a bomb, I have a bomb, and I will use it. One lady who was inside the bank said, and she fled. He wasn't trying to retain us all. He just said, get out, and we all ran. Didn't know he took hostages. He took hostages and had a knife to one of them. A sniper for the SWAT team in Lee County, Florida, shot this person in the head through a computer monitor. Shot through the computer monitor to disable the knife-wielding bad guy and eliminated him. It was remarkable. A remarkable act of shooting in a stressful situation and took out the bad guy who was putting people's lives in jeopardy. Just absolutely remarkable. The amount of just bravery and professionalism and heroism in the SWAT team and just the police in general, just amazing stuff to watch.